Hello, I'm Dr. Timothy Lewis, talking about the book The Poetics of Matthew 1, and I'm up to chapter 2 in this video series. So in chapter 2, it's looking at the first verse and the 17th verse of Matthew. And the reason for that is that verse 1 and verse 17 frames what comes in between, which we call the genealogy. So if we're looking at what sections to study, because when we're studying a book like Matthew, it helps to think about, well, what's the beginning and the ending of that unit of text? And so with Matthew chapter 1, there's two units of text. There's what we call the genealogy, and then the second unit, which I'll get to talking about next time. No, chapter 4, I think. So chapter 4. But so in chapter 2, I've called it Framing the Messianic Lineage. So I haven't called it a genealogy. And the reason is that the more we can look at verse 1 and verse 17, the framing of the genealogy, the word genealogy doesn't seem to be the best helpful kind of word, because we usually think of a biological genealogy. I mean, we can use the word genealogy for non-biological lineages, but I just thought, well, let's just use the word lineage for now. And so studying verse 1 and verse 17 really helps to see how the frame is consistent. So verse 1 and verse 17, there's a lot of commonalities between verse 1 and verse 17. They're both talking about the process of arriving at the Messiah. How does the Messiah arrive? Or the progeneration is the word that I've used. The Messiah's progeneration. How does the Messiah come to arrive at the end of this lineage? So so looking at verse 1 and verse 17 as the frame, and the more that we do that, the more that helps us to see what it is in between verses 2 to verse 16. And so I was looking at the word progeneration, which is my translation of the word Genesis. So it talks about the Messiah's Genesis, and so I've used the word progeneration. And looking at verse 1 and verse 17, the kind of Messiah is implied. This chosen one, so someone who's chosen and who arrives at the end of a lineage. And so studying verse 1 and verse 17. The more we can study verse 1 and verse 17, it really does help to see that that's the frame for the first unit. So if we really understand how it's framed, then we can get to looking more closely at the genealogy itself, which will be in chapter 3 for next time.